So Atomo listed on the ASX in April this year, and an IPO in the middle of a global pandemic is no small feat. However, the relevance of Atomo's rapid diagnostic devices were underscored earlier this year when the world started looking for ways to test for COVID-19. Whilst the foundational Atomo story relates very much to the rapid test devices that the company is bringing to market for the HIV self-testing application, the adaptability of the Atomo platform has opened up an opportunity to see its rapid test devices used in this COVID setting. It's led to the company establishing key, highly revenue generative partnerships with NG Biotech and, as announced yesterday, with Access Bio, which is all very positive progress. So at this point, I'd like to hand over to John and Will, who can talk about the business and the inaugural quarterly update. Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jane. And thank you for having us. And on behalf of the entire team at Atomo, we'd like to welcome you to what is our inaugural quarterly update to investors. By way of background, Atomo is a medical device company that focuses on the diagnostics market, and particularly point of care testing in the market. And if we go to the slide number 3, Jane, you'll see that we have a range of products. We also have technology that's well proven. So we are headquartered in Australia. We've got commercial staff active across Europe and Africa, and we have our own wholly owned facility in South Africa, as well as a number of partners operationally globally that we're scaling up with. We've got innovative patented products that really do simplify rapid testing. Those technologies are proven, not just from a regulatory perspective with approvals globally, but commercially with a number of contracts that run with blue chip healthcare partners, and also increasingly a number of OEM agreements that we're bringing to market. To scale up that business and allow us to continue to grow, we look to bring the business public, and we did a successful IPO that we'll talk about that was done in April. And the capital from that has allowed us to continue to scale both our operational capabilities as well as our infrastructure to support increasing partnerships globally. And that growth has seen us added to the S&P All Ordinaries Index, which I think has helped enormously with our marketability in terms of visibility, not just in Australia, but globally. If we go to the next slide, we will really be able to just focus on what our current business focus is. We had HIV as a flagship product, and we have Australia's only self-test approval from the TGA for HIV screening at home. That's also one of a very small number of tests that's being pre-qualified by the World Health Organization, and both our professional and self-test products are CE marked in Europe. That approval really did put the technology on the map in terms of recognition, and we were able to secure partnerships with Mylan Pharmaceutical, a very large listed New York pharmaceutical company, as well as Owen Mumford in the UK. And they continue to roll our HIV products out globally, and we're now selling actively in a large number of countries. That was the genesis of the story, and the story that really took us to market. But through that process, the pandemic for COVID-19 has happened, and we've been able to respond very quickly to that from a commercial perspective, but also to make sure our devices can play a part in supporting the pandemic response. And the first contract was with a partner, NG Biotech in France, and they've been very successful at rolling their product out in the French market, having already ordered 1.75 million devices from us. And more recently, yesterday, in fact, we announced an expansion of our COVID-19 activities with an agreement with Access Bio, who are also an existing customer and partner of ours. And that is exclusive in North America, but also sees them roll the product out more extensively. And under that agreement, they've committed to a further 2 million units by September of next year, and subject to some conditions to roll over for a further 12 months. Beyond that, a further 2 million again. So that's a very substantive contract for us. Outside of HIV and COVID, we continue to actively promote the technology through OEM partnerships. We have a relationship with Lumos, a US company who have a very impressive test to distinguish between viral and bacterial infection as a primary screening test in doctor offices. And that's CE marked and going through FDA processes, as well as a number of applications for female fertility, and a pipeline of products that we're looking to now bring to market over the next sort of 12 to 24 months through that arrangement. If you go to the next slide, we'll just talk very briefly about the business as we roll forward.
So just a quick corporate snapshot. We listed, as Jane said, in mid-April. That was quite a roller coaster to get to that point. We were very pleased to get that done. I think we had some fantastic support from existing shareholders and also from a number of blue chip institutional small cap shareholders, and I think that's been reflected in in the success of the listing so far. It was a 20-cent listing, obviously. Quite a lot of trading, a lot of interest in the stock, and so there's been a fair bit of movement as we've rolled through the quarter. But I think that goes for the entire exchange. With 560 odd million shares on issue at 40 cents, that gives us a market cap north of 200 million. You can see there on the slide a summary of the key shareholders. The top shareholder is Mr. Kelly to my right here, as Dal Rader, a number of other names there that will be familiar to people, including Blue Flag, which is Alan Moss's company, Grand Challenges Canada, Elliston, Perennial, and the Walker Group. And as a part of coming to the market, we went through some board renewal processes and have a very well-established sort of blue chip board now in place with experienced directors from across the board, including Kurt LaBelle, who's a representative from the Global Health Investment Fund, which is obviously one of our major shareholders and has been a supporter of the company for quite some time. So we're in a great shape from a corporate perspective, having used the proceeds of the IPO to repay the debt that we had from the Global Health Investment Fund and other commitments pre-IPO. We're now debt-free and have cash on hand of $27 million.
Yeah, so that's a snapshot of where the business is. What we want to do now is really just talk about where we think this quarter has taken us and what some of those key drivers of this quarter and beyond look like. But in terms of what excites us about the business, it's a proven technology. It really is unique. It's innovative, and it's the only solution of its kind in the market. And we see that being really disruptive and providing a lot of upside for us. It's a big market. Lateral flow testing is ubiquitous, and that's only increasing now with the pandemic. We see point of care testing as being a driver of growth in diagnostics, and our technology really puts us in a leader position to really make a difference. We've now got multiple revenue streams across several applications, several customers, and several geographies, and that gives us good redundancy. As we grow, we're not dependent on any one contract or any one customer. As mentioned previously, the technology is well proven, it's well accepted, and it's now starting to really establish itself as a market leader. We're looking for that Intel Inside, that Dolby sort of brand recognition as we grow this platform into markets outside of infectious disease. The IP position is very strong because of our early entry into this market. We've got a low-cost manufacturing base that we're currently scaling up, and we feel that we're very well positioned for future growth. The flexibility of the platform itself was proven with COVID-19. We were able to pivot very quickly. We went from inbound inquiries to a validated product in the market within 3 months, and that, we believe, is a sign of our ability to deliver applications and opportunities as they appear organically, and also as we make them happen strategically. The next slide just will really, for people new to the business, just very quickly explain essentially what we do. Before we came along, rapid blood-based testing for lateral flow was typically done in a bits-in-a-box format, a sort of year 12 chemistry set type experiment, and that had a lot of complexity and a lot of sources of error. And really what Atomo has done, it's taken those test strips that work well, those chemistries, but delivered them to market in a user-friendly, fully integrated device that meets the needs of users. It removes complexity and removes sources of error, and significantly improves user satisfaction with rapid testing. But what that means for the business moving forward, if we move to the next slide, Jane, is that we have now an ability to roll out the business globally. This quarter has been very busy for us. We secured our first agreement with NG Biotech at the start of the quarter. That helped with momentum to get the IPO done in a challenging time. We then expanded that agreement to include Australia, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia. We moved into the larger All Ords Index. We delivered our quarterlies, which showed a substantive step up in revenue receipts as well as sales volumes. And we'll talk a bit more about that further in the presentation. We've then cemented our position within global health for COVID with a further agreement with Access Bio. And we'll talk on the next slide in a little bit of detail around what that agreement looks like and why we're excited about it. But where we're moving now with capacity is that it's currently being validated, the second module that will get us to 500,000 devices per month starting in August. And that allows us to now support these extra contracts as they come through, the scale up of HIV, the bringing on of Access Bio as a new customer, and we continue to scale up with further modules. We expect to be at 1 million units per annum by the end of the year, and that will allow us to then deliver this pipeline of additional OEM products as we roll into next calendar year, because to date we're capacity constrained in our ability to bring on new customers at the rate we'd like to. The COVID-19 contracts themselves, we're very excited about the progress we've made with COVID. NG Biotech have done a fantastic job in France. They sell to the Ministry of Defence. They sell to the French public healthcare system. They've ordered 1.75 million devices already. Quite recently, the pharmacy channel has now opened up in France. It's legally permissible for professional users to screen through pharmacies, and we hope that channel will start to show additional growth. We're in discussions with NG about expanding the agreement beyond the end of the year, and also at the same time expanding the territories beyond France and the UK to additional markets, in particular Europe, where they're very strong. With Access Bio, they're an existing partner. We have partnerships in place with them for HIV and hepatitis. They are a very large global player. They manufacture more than 100 million devices for rapid testing annually. They've got factories in the US, in Korea, in Ethiopia. So they're a really good scalable partner for us. They secured emergency use authorization for their standard test, which is the same strip used in the device that we will partner with them for. So that really helps with the regulatory process. But it's worth mentioning that outside of US, Canada, and Mexico, where that agreement is exclusive, Access Bio also have non-exclusive rights to launch in many countries. So they're very strong in Central and South America, across Africa, and into some targeted markets in Asia. Obviously, Korea, their home market, to some extent in Japan. So we do expect to see sales not just in North America, but globally. And we're very excited about the scale up of the business that we're undertaking with them. And with the capacity coming online next month, we're really in a position to support that. We also have co-branding in this arrangement, which gives us good market presence in North America, where we look to then utilize that branding for further OEM discussions. And we've gone for a revenue share model, which we feel over the longer term provides more upside for the business and gives us a better slice of the upside, particularly in markets like the US or in self-testing, where premiums can be obtained.
So just a quick summary on the quarterly. So cash receipts for the quarter were very strong, more than 1.8 million, which is significantly higher than the previous 3 quarters combined. And obviously a chunk of that was delivered through the new COVID contract, particularly with NG. Obviously, it takes a little while to convert revenue into cash flow, and so some of those sales will start to show up in the current quarter's cash flow as we move through into July, August, and September. Revenues for the year from customers are in excess of $5 million, which is more than 10 times our revenue in FY19. So another significant step up from a revenue perspective. As I mentioned earlier, the IPO proceeds had some specific uses, and we've applied them in accordance with those uses. I think the only difference, if you look at the use of funds in the prospectus to compared to our quarterly, is the rate at which we've been, I guess, pushing forth with our manufacturing expansion, and so that's obviously a positive, and we've been doing that, as John described, to support our acceleration in our sales. So from that perspective, we see ourselves at the end of the quarter in a very strong position with a very clean balance sheet, cash on hand, and in fact, the prospect of moving to cash flow break even being brought forward significantly as a result of the new contract. So that puts us in a very strong position with that significant buffer of $27 million on hand at the moment.
Yeah. So the last slide really then just talks about the outlook. So our focus in the short term is to continue to scale out the COVID-19 business with NG and now with Access Bio to support them with the dossiers needed for regulatory approval and capacity for scale up. We continue to scale up both Galileo and Pascal platforms, Pascal being focused on new OEM customers. And we continue to work with Mylan, Owen Mumford, and also directly in Australia to roll out the HIV self-test business. We do see significant growth coming down, particularly with global health tenders for HIV. And we believe over the next 3 to 5 years, our HIV business will grow robustly. And as we then transition beyond HIV and COVID into next year and beyond, we'll be increasingly looking to roll out new applications on the platforms and find new applications that we look to commercialize ourselves. So more Atomo finished products like HIV, where we can control more of the value chain and more of the supply chain. So we've had a good quarter, but there's a lot more to do, and we feel that we've got the team, the capital, and now the contracts to really make that happen.